Today, we will be looking through some of the Twitter activity from iDubbbz's girlfriend, aka Anisa the Greasy. That username is just so awkward to me. It's like, I don't know if pseudo crust punk vibes are really what you want to go for if you're trying to run a successful OF account. I only wanted to focus on more recent tweets, so we're going to be looking through the last month of August. I saved over 90 screenshots and I divided them into 5 different groups: cringe, fake goals, Ian/bad girlfriend, image, and moral posturing. Some of these groups kind of bleed into one another, but there are definitely some behavioral patterns to take note of here. To establish some of the more egregious examples of virtue signaling and hypocrisy, let's start with the group moral posturing. It's important to note that this is all speculation. We're going to be treating these tweets like it's the Da Vinci Code. I can tell my mental health is improving based on how many times I vacuum in a week. This one's not so bad, it's a little bit cringe, but the reason why I'm putting it first is it gives us a good baseline of what Anisa may consider good mental health. Why is this political boomer cringe on my feed? Sees it's because a mutual creator liked it, goes to their likes. Oh, they've been radicalized, fantastic. It's always so depressing to venture onto Facebook. Day ruined for sure. You know what's a better indicator of poor mental health than just not vacuuming very often? Is letting people on social media with different opinions ruin your day. Getting a little bit upset, I would understand, but ruining your whole day? I mean, come on, you're an adult. I don't understand why she has a career that relies so heavily on social media presence if little stuff like this is going to make her anxious and ruin her whole day. However, 2 recurring themes in this video is victimhood and codependence. Someone replied to this one with, "You're literally Yoko Ono, you have no right to have this take." Well, that's a little harsh. You know, that's a little mean, that's a little harsh. Yeah, It happened. My hair's officially at the length where I'm getting asked out and approached in public again. 3 times in one mall trip. 3! If you're wondering what length to cut your hair to be left alone, it's half an inch shorter than mine. I feel so bad for you. Actually, I have several friends who would delete themselves to have this happen to them, and have considered deleting themselves because it never does. Maybe you should delete this distasteful tweet before the onslaught begins. Oh wait, you want the negative attention. I would say that response is a bit much, but there's definitely something to be said about how oblivious Anisa is to how good she has it. It also speaks to her attention-seeking and codependent behavior. She already has a husband, it's weird that she has to seek validation from so many other people. I'm not going to read this entire thread that Anisa shared, but it's basically saying that your choices in art consumption don't speak to your morality, even though there's more pressure than ever to like the right things. I agree with this, but as we go on, we're going to see how hypocritical it was for Anisa to share that in the first place. Don't talk to me about deplatforming being wrong. Do you know what's worse? Letting someone who sees women as cattle to be abused for profit speak with a megaphone on privately owned popular platforms. A privilege and a right are 2 separate things. Just remember that. So this tweet is about Andrew Tate, and we can see why it makes the previous tweet so hypocritical. We need to treat people's artistic preferences as artistic preferences, unless they like a creator that I don't like. This has become a real theme as of lately, and I'm not a fan of it whatsoever. Some good counter replies to this were, your boyfriend uses the N-word in private, he used to use it in public, he should be deplatformed too. I bet you love censorship because you don't like the truth. You and your boyfriend are bad people too. This is a bad argument. I agree he should be deplatformed, but surely you can think of a better argument than grabbing your pearls and shouting, "Will someone please think of the women?" I would say those are some genuine grievances. This is actually a reply to one of iDubbbz's anti-Tate takes. You can be pro-universal healthcare, pro-gun reform, dislike Andrew Tate, and take a principled stance against deplatforming. It's not that hard, man. Someone else responded with, "It's a private corporation. What are you, a commie? Want the government stepping in and running all social media?" Just because somebody doesn't want social media to be able to silence people doesn't mean they're trying to get the government to have that power either, okay? Like, do we understand anymore what communism is, or how fascism works, or how those extremes, when you get to the most extreme parts of it, they pretty much circle back around because you need the corporations and government working together to keep that power above the people? What we're asking for is for power and agency to be returned to citizens when we're asking for social media platforms not to be run in such silly, cuckoo ways.
What? You want access to free speech? What are you, a communist? Owned.
Any man with a predominantly male audience who has come out to denounce Andrew Tate in any way, shape, or form is doing more than they probably know. I haven't seen many, but those who have give me genuine cringe.
People's manic episodes aren't improving by ogling them like your favorite reality TV show. I understand a lot of us care. You're very valid for being concerned, especially if you aren't used to seeing people go through things like this, but increasing attention can warp reality by accidental consequence of that. It's just something to be mindful of.
I don't know, Anisa. I don't know. I don't know. Have you considered a career where the goal isn't to get paid for being ogled at? Also, the phrase, "you're very valid for being concerned," is like the most new age toxic positivity nonsense that I've heard ever. I thought the point of feminism was to have a stronger sense of independence, not codependence, to the point where if your boyfriend or husband isn't in shouting distance, you have to have a little bit of a meltdown online to cope with it. Rich people in LA literally don't know how to act in public. No, I will not elaborate. Get a job. I've been really active on Twitter recently. I'm not sure if it's too much. I made a goal that I would be more active on my socials this month, but I'm not sure how much is too much. I'm kind of just posting whenever my brain goes burr and Ian's not inventing radius. There should be legal repercussions for mocking/egging on someone online during a manic episode, like a fine or something at least. Some of the comments I've gotten lately have made me so sick. It's not funny. You're not funny or cool for being apathetic. You're putting someone in increased danger. This non-existent threat of danger is something that more and more people are using to justify their empty causes. If you are out in public, it is your responsibility to keep things together, short of somebody committing a crime. If somebody else's words are enough to put you at risk for self-harm, that person is not the one who needs help. You are. If you're going to have a career that revolves around social media, then you're going to have to get used to constant criticism. Anisa already knows this though, and it's advice she tried to give to Boogie2988.
Your brain is not at a place yet where you're like, I'm doing this for me and I don't give a what anyone thinks, and you're going to focus on those negative comments. Guaranteed.
And it's advice that she hasn't even tried to put into practice for herself. Alright, 1 folder down, 4 to go. Let's look at some of her tweets related to her image. Nothing humbles you faster than an impromptu photo shoot. Yeah, it really takes a lot of humility to run an OF account. Here's a great example of some of the humbling remarks she regularly gets on Twitter. Bruh, y'all pushing 40. Get off the internet. It's not 2017. Like, I agree, I'm old. I do enjoy being offline more than I used to, but like, why are you fast forwarding my life 10 years? With how much Anisa complains about online interactions, you would think she would be much happier choosing a different career path. Gracing the public with this skirt. This comes off as quite conceited, especially in contrast with some of her other tweets where she's questioning her self-image. Plus, this is Anisa we're talking about here. Can she really grace the public with anything? I love how even through my socials, you can see how much my self-esteem and self-image has improved over the years. Especially this past year, I've learned who I am. I love myself. Yeah, I don't know about all that. I've been looking through your socials and you definitely don't seem too mentally healthy. And as we'll see later, I don't think Anisa has really learned who she is whatsoever.
Some guy just messaged me and told me I look like the lead singer from Greta Van Fleet. I read it to Ian for reassurance and he just replied with, true.
Seems like a really great support system you got going on there. Maybe instead of messaging like hundreds of men romantically, if you only had a connection with one of these people, it would be a stronger connection. You will only ever look cool to a subset of people. It's better to just own that fact and lean into what you like. Anisa, I don't think you need to be giving any advice to other people about being genuine or true to yourself. I think you're the last person that should be giving that kind of advice. Someone responded with, "You look like trash to me."
Alright, well now that's a little harsh. That's getting a little harsh.
I look at all women at all sizes and go, wow, she's really in her divine feminine, she's beautiful, whether that's curvy or svelte or strong or anything in between. It's just my brain that tells me I don't look like that I'm the exception, that I should be as small as I can be. I wanted to clarify my tweet yesterday because it was bothering me how I left it. I honestly don't think being small makes you more attractive. I just have brain rot where I'm so different that I have to be as small as possible to make up for it, if that makes sense. Surprisingly, yes, that does make sense. You hold yourself to such a high standard because you think you're better than everybody else. I try to have high expectations for myself too, but that's for self-improvement, not elitism.
This is literally the worst photo quality ever, and it's in a public restroom, and I'm sorry, but look at this shoe-pant combo. It's so 70s, I love it.
This is the kind of thing I was talking about. In one tweet, she'll say how hard it is for her to find herself attractive or whatever, and then in the next tweet, she's literally falling in love with herself through the mirror of a public restroom. And then she has the gall to talk about being true to yourself? Really? Come on. I am a size 25 in jeans and I still think I'm huge, so I think that means it's time for therapy. What is my brain doing? It's terrifying how someone's brain can warp reality that much. I know objectively being 5'6" and a size 2 is small, but I look in the mirror and I'm like, cave woman, actual brain disease.
I'm a size 28 and I know I'm huge.
28 is not huge. 28 is small. All our brains are rotten, I swear.
I send you tons of hugs and support, sis. You're not alone, trust me.
Just two skinny girls congratulating themselves for not being fat. Alright, we got 3 more folders to go, and the next one is gonna be fake goals.
I pushed 95 pounds for 4 sets of 4 on my chest press today. I won't lie, I'm extremely happy because my chest is by far my weakest area.
You knew what you were saying in this. Is it a titty bait thing? Ceramics seem like a fun thing to get into. Why am I craving diving headfirst into pottery making? 3 days later. I can't choose between pole or pottery. What should my new hobby be? If you're willing to put it off for 3 days and then consider extraordinarily different, unrelated hobbies, then obviously you didn't want to dive headfirst into it in the first place. You want the credit of being good at a hobby without putting in the effort of getting good at a hobby. If she doesn't have the impulse control to behave on Twitter, then I don't know how she expects to have the willpower to do ceramics or pole dancing or boxing. It just makes 0 sense to me. Okay, sorry for word vomiting. I've tried to step away from constantly spewing my opinion, but my Twitter feed just set me off today, and I am not in the mood to Twitter tussle with mutuals on their posts. I'm done now, I promise. Running to Twitter just to say that you're done running to Twitter is how you condition yourself for bad impulse control. Later in the month. I have a bit more free time these next few months. I know it's not tax season, but accounting return? What about the other goals you set this month? What about ceramics? What about pole dancing? What about not running to Twitter constantly whenever you have something on your mind? How about you address those goals first before you start trying to get credit for making new goals you have no intention on following through with? We'll see this pattern continue in the bad GF folder, but for now, let's take a lighthearted break and look at the cringe folder. This will be a bit of a rapid fire round since there's not much to say about these other than cringe.
I'm Pearlkin,
I get this girl. What kind of loser sleeps with a celery stick?
Forget Myers-Briggs. Everyone should just put how they feel about student debt forgiveness in their bio so I can tell if I F with you or not.
I'm 5'6", but I feel like I'm 5'10", if that makes sense. I don't think he can beat the Wolfsif, even with Lone Wolf Ashes. Well, she's getting her Souls games mixed up because Wolfsif is in Dark Souls, but Ashes are only in Elden Ring. She must be talking about Red Wolf of Radagon. What a noob. Is breakfast for dinner a white person thing? I have learned that breakfast for dinner is not a white person thing. I really want a full natal chart reading. Doesn't anyone have any Astro Girlies they recommend? I will be a happy patron.
I accidentally ate moldy bread. Again.
Alright, on to the final round. Ian/BadGF. You have just been visited by the Good Fortune Goblin. Retweet for good luck. Imagine giving up your $1 million career for an unshowered Twitch thought.
Well, now that was a little hard. Our spread for the KSI boxing event.
And no part of that spread is actually home cooked. This is something we're going to be getting into a little bit more here, is Anisa's cooking abilities, or lack thereof. My favorite Ian memory is the time I wasn't able to take Advil before my surgery and I had really bad period cramps. Ian had read online, walks can help relieve period pain, so he bundled me up and took me for a walk around the block at 3 a.m. in -25°C weather, bent over in pain. It looked like someone taking their sick dog for one final walk before the big sleep. I can't believe he did that. I was waddling and moaning the whole time as Ian trudged on through the snow. Really? That's your best memory with Ian? I understand it says a lot about what he's willing to do for you, but is the best memory you have with Ian really just another time that he's had to clean up a mess of yours? Plus, how does Ian feel about that memory? Does he look back on it fondly, or does he look back at it and think, wow, this girl is high maintenance? God, I hate that my brain lately has been trying to convince me that I want a kid. Well, we don't need any greaselets running around, so I'm glad you're fighting that urge, Anisa. But what if you raised the best human?
Billy, be honest. Do I look like I'm capable of raising a best human?
Oh, now she's self-aware.
I made Shaq Fu for dinner and it smells so good.
That looks terrible. Yuck. I just vomited.
Where is the eggs?
I'm not familiar with this dish, so I looked it up to compare it, and Anisa's version does not look right whatsoever. When the guy said, "Where are the eggs?" I was genuinely confused, because I thought those were supposed to be globs of cheese. No, those are supposed to be eggs. She goes on to say in another tweet, I've been consistently cooking well-rounded, high-protein meals for the past 3 weeks for us, and I'm really proud. We have only eaten out once this week, which is a big step for us. Next step is moving to cruelty-free while still keeping high protein. Knowing Anisa, if she cooked anything that looks halfway decent, she would have been posting some of those food pics. But she wasn't. Coupled with the fact she's proud of consistently cooking for only 3 weeks, I think it's safe to say she doesn't have much prior cooking experience, if any. It takes so much longer than just 3 weeks to develop the kind of skills that Anisa wants to impress other people with. If being remarkable was easy, then nobody would be remarkable.
After learning how to properly make a latte at home, I now have a newfound appreciation for baristas who are working under pressure. My love language is making my husband lattes he never asked for.
Y'all have been together for years and you're just developing a love language to express to your husband? I know it's just a joke, but maybe think about what he wants instead of doing something you want and forcing it upon him.
Ian's gone full dad mode, falling asleep in front of the TV.
Ian fell asleep watching Game Grumps. When I look at this tweet, I immediately think that Anisa must be controlling what Ian is and isn't allowed to watch. If I catch you watching JonTron again, I'm gonna have to add 2 more months to your dry spell, buddy. Alright, we have one more tweet. The coup de grace. Here we go.
Ian got a surprise gift in the mail from our Creator Clash business partners. Even in make-believe land, Ian can't seem to win.
Wow, how very supportive of you. Could you imagine if back when Anisa was trying to take her YouTube channel seriously and she was leaking a bunch of subscribers? Could you imagine if Ian would have said, "Oh, lost another 2,000 subscribers this week, eh? You can't even win in social media land." There would have been a lawsuit. Let's end on this reply. As long as he's got you in his head, he can never win. Hashtag Yoko Ono. Alright, that's gonna have to do it for this one. Shout out to the best subscriber squad on all of YouTube. I hope everybody has a wonderful day.
This is really bad. Yikes takes. Why is it bad?